Hey guys, welcome back to Story Recaps. Today, I will be explaining an action, sci-fi film titled The Old Guard. Warning, spoilers ahead, watch out, and enjoy. The movie begins with Booker and Andy meeting up to discuss an important mission. Their previous employer has a hostage situation in South Sudan that requires their attention. Andy is hesitant at first, since she doesn't trust him and thinks society isn't worth saving anymore. Andy and Booker meet up with Joe and Nikki, who are also a part of their team. The whole team is down with the mission, except for Andy, who is still skeptical. After a little convincing, Andy finally agrees and they go to meet their previous employer, James Copley, while Joe and Nikki keep watch from the window. After Copley briefs them on the layout, Andy reluctantly agrees and the team heads out to South Sudan to begin their mission. The team successfully takes out the guards and infiltrates the compound where the children are being kept. Upon entering the room, they realize there are no hostages, and there are cameras on the ceiling, meaning they have been set up. Right after this, a group of mercenaries enters the room and proceeds to mag-dump the entire group. The soldiers turn their back on them, assuming that they are dead, but their bodies start to heal rapidly and expel the bullets. They get up from the ground and proceed to kill all of the soldiers, while Copley is watching all of it. After realizing they have been compromised, they bury their bloody clothes and hop on a train. While on the train, they discuss their options and Andy says they need to find and kill Copley since he has evidence of them being immortal. Meanwhile, in Afghanistan, we meet Niles, who is a soldier in the American Army. She is sent to check on a group of women who could be held hostage by the enemy. When she approaches them, the women silently point her in the direction of the man. Niles goes into the building and is forced to kill the man. While she is trying to save his life, he slashes her neck with a knife, killing her. The team starts to have dreams of Niles being killed, and Niles starts to envision the group on the train. The team realizes that the dreams they are seeing means there is another one of them and there is another immortal out there. Andy is pissed off by this, since she just wants to kill Copley and go back into hiding, but the team convinces her that it is important and she decides to go retrieve Niles on her own. She tasks the rest of the team to find Copley and meet her in Paris. Back in Afghanistan, Niles is awake and her friends are confused about how she doesn't even have a scratch on her. The incident is reported and Niles is going to be relocated to Germany for more testing. When she goes to her tent, she sees that her friends have already packed up her stuff. Some friends, am I right? In London, we are introduced to Merrick, who is a pharmaceutical executive giving a speech about his stem cell research trying to attract some investors. He says that he has the technology, he just needs the money to support his experiments. After this, Merrick and his team meet with Copley, who shows them the video of Andy and her team coming back to life. Merrick is unimpressed with this and says he needs hard evidence since people will think the video has been tampered with. Instead, Merrick wants Copley to capture them and bring the team to him. While Niles is waiting to be taken to Germany, Andy steps in and kidnaps her. She wakes up in the back of a jeep with Andy driving and instantly tries to escape. Andy stops the jeep and is already fed up with this, so when Niles tries to run, she shoots her in the back of the head. Andy waits for her to wake up, and once she does, she doesn't think that this is real. Andy tells her if she wants answers, then she needs to get back in the jeep. Niles agrees, and they get on a sketchy drug-running plane. Niles is concerned about her safety for some reason since I think she forgot she is immortal. Once they are in the air, Andy answers Niles's questions and she is unsatisfied with the answers. Once Andy goes to sleep, Niles ties her up in an attempt to land the plane. In retaliation, Andy tells the pilot to play dead and shoots the pilot to distract Niles. This gets Niles to uncuff Andy, and as she does, Andy and Niles instantly start to fight on the plane. Andy proves to be superior in the fight and gets Niles to calm down enough to keep her on board. They land in Goussainville, which is an abandoned town outside of Paris, where they meet up with the rest of their team. They get to know each other and we learn about where each of the team members came from. We learn that Booker was a soldier who died in the 18th century fighting with Napoleon. Joe and Nikki met in the Crusades in the 12th century and were enemies forced to kill each other, and Andy tells them she is the oldest but doesn't say exactly how old. Everyone goes to bed, and in the middle of the night, Niles has a nightmare that wakes everyone up. She dreamt of a woman trapped in an iron coffin drowning at the bottom of the ocean. The group explains to her that she saw Quinn, who was another immortal who used to fight alongside Andy many years ago. When trying to save people from the Salem witch trials, Andy and Quinn are caught and accused of witchcraft themselves. Once the town realizes they can't die, it confirms their suspicion, and they try to figure out how to get rid of them. They split them up, lock Quinn in an iron coffin and throw her into the sea, where she drowns and comes back to life, just to drown again, for eternity. The team tells Niles that this is the reason they dread capture, they don't want to spend the rest of eternity inside a cage. Niles goes outside to get some fresh air while Andy talks with her. While this is happening, a group of insurgents are approaching the church and they start to hear gunfire. When they get inside, Joe and Nikki are gone, and Booker is still recovering from the explosion that took him out. Andy realizes that Copley is the one who sent the men, so she knows they will be coming back. She tells Niles and Booker to wait for her signal while she deals with the enemies. Andy proceeds to absolutely massacre the entire squad by herself, only taking one hit. Once Andy gives the signal, Booker and Niles leave the building and see just what Andy is capable of, and the group heads to another safe house. The scene then cuts to Joe and Nikki, who have been captured by Copley. The soldiers make fun of them for being gay, and when they try to kiss each other, the guards pull them away. The van arrives to meet Copley, and when it opens, we see that Joe and Nikki have managed to take out all the guards while still being restrained. This is what being homophobic gets you, sent to early retirement. The rest of the team takes shelter in an abandoned mine that Andy used to use as storage. There, they discuss how they are going to take down Copley and get Joe and Nikki back. We can see that Andy is still bleeding from her shoulder from the previous fight, which means that her immortality has worn off. Joe and Nikki are taken to see Merrick, who explains to them that they are going to be used for his stem cell research. He doesn't care about their physical state, just that he gets results. They are then taken to a lab to begin the testing. He orders Copley that he retrieves Andy and Booker as well. We then see a scene where Andy is buying medical supplies to treat her wound and the worker offers to help her. Andy wonders why she hasn't asked about her injury, but the girl tells her that she doesn't need to know and that she is helping because she saw someone in need of help. When walking to the car, Andy starts to come to terms with the fact that she is no longer immortal. While Joe and Nikki are being tested on, Copley is talking with Merrick and starts to see how twisted Merrick is and starts to question which side he is on. Nikki tells the nurse that people have tried to do the same tests in the past with the same reasoning for helping people, and it's never worked. Niles wakes up from another nightmare and goes outside to see Andy going through her phone. They sit and talk about family and the downsides to being immortal. Booker meets up with them to tell them that they found an address for where Copley might be. The team arrives at Copley's building, and Niles tells Andy that she doesn't want to be a part of the team anymore. She wants to be able to spend as much time with her family as she can. Andy lets her go, and Andy and Booker enter the house. Andy and Booker find Copley, and to Andy's surprise, Booker shoots her and restrains her. Booker explains that he set them up and brought them to Copley because he hopes that Merrick can find a way to let them die. This is when Booker realizes that Andy isn't healing and that she is no longer immortal. Just then, Merrick and his goons come into the room and capture Andy and Booker. Copley is concerned about Andy's condition, but Merrick doesn't care and has his guard knock out Copley. Andy and Booker are taken to the lab where Nikki and Joe are being held, where Booker tells them that Andy is no longer immortal. So, Merrick starts work to keep Andy alive so that they can run tests on her later. Niles heads back to the house and finds Copley, where she reveals that she is another immortal. Copley explains to her how he has spent years tracking their team and what they have done for humanity over the years. He thought that if he brought them in, he would be doing a good thing and helping the world, but he realized that they would do more good if he let them be. Niles gets Copley to take her to Merrick's building where they are holding the team, and he gives her his keycard. Niles proceeds to start taking out the guards, and the soldiers report to Merrick that there is another immortal. Niles finds the lab where the group is being held and frees them. Joe and Nikki are upset with Booker, but Andy tells them that this isn't the time, and that they have more pressing issues ahead. The team starts to make their way through the building in order to find and kill Merrick. They start to take out the guards, and everyone tries to shield Andy, but she proves that she is still a badass, regardless of being immortal. The team makes their way into the penthouse and fights off the rest of Merrick's guards. They notice that the elevator is going down, so they assume that Merrick is getting away. Joe and Nikki head after him, while Niles looks after Andy. Andy explains to Niles that she thinks she showed up when she lost her immortality to remind her what it was like to feel unbreakable. We then find out that the elevator was a trick, and Merrick pulls up on Andy and Niles. They end up pulling the same trick that Andy used earlier, and Niles tackles Merrick and body slams him from the top of the building. The team meets at the bottom and all head out before the police arrive. After finishing their mission, the team decides that Booker needs to be punished for betraying the team. They decide that he must spend 100 years alone, but Niles was okay with just an apology. The team goes back to Copley's house, and they finally learn about all of the good that they have done throughout history. Andy is concerned about disappearing in this day and age, so she tasks Copley with removing every trace of them and protecting them from those who want to harm them. Basically, making him their manager. Copley says that he would be honored. 6 months later, we see a drunk booker stumbling into his house. When he tries to open the door, he realizes that it is already open and draws his gun. The movie ends when he enters his kitchen and is greeted by Quinn. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you would like to see more. Stay safe and take care.